Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend because I know us boxing fans did on Saturday with the matchup of Miguel Berchelt and Oscar Valdez. We knew going into this fight it was going to be an exciting matchup between two Mexican fighters, and typically when two elite Mexican fighters step up into the ring, there's always going to be fireworks. And with that, I will be recapping and going over some of the keynotes of the fight, as well as some of the things I had in mind. Some key victories for Berchelt was that he was a bigger guy and the stronger guy. He had been at the weight class for a while now, so he has established himself as he has basically grown into that weight. And he was also known as the boogeyman, quote unquote, uh, essentially meaning he was the guy. He has power in both hands, as well as having a high volume of punches. I believe he has 81. He averages 81 punches per round. He's been consistent with his recent performances, winning in devastating fashion, knocking guys out left and right, and so forth. Some of the cons were that he is a come forward type of fighter and does tend to get hit. Also, some things that I noticed was that at the weigh-in he looked pretty drained from the face. He looked pretty skinny. Um, After the weigh-ins, after he got off the scale, he quickly went and got some water into his system. So it's possible that he has outgrown that weight division, and so it was possible that it could affect him in the fight. You know, making him feel a little bit weak or not as strong as he could. Some key victories for Valdez is that he is explosive. He has power in both hands, but it's mostly in that left hook. He likes to throw that left hook. That's his signature punch. A key thing that I have noticed is that he has been up against tough opposition, and he has gone through adversity. For instance, the Lopez fight, he got knocked down and he got up, and then there's been a couple other fights, essentially him getting his jaw broken and still continuing to fight and winning, which I thought was gonna help him in this fight. Um, he is a smart fighter, and he's always trying to find the best position and footing to unleash that hook. Some of the cons is that he is a smaller guy, moving up from the 126 to 130 division. His recent performances have been a little iffy. They haven't been the best. He hasn't looked the best. With his new trainer Eddie, I know sometimes it could take a while for coach and fighter to adjust and really get to know each other and create that bond. Another thing that I saw in Berchelt's favor is that it was going to be his ninth defense of the title. So an extra motivation for him to win, as well as Valdez wanting to beat the guy and really establish himself, and winning would get him there. So with that, let's get into the video. Round one, I expected Valdez to start off cautiously, which in my opinion I don't think he really did. He starts and throwing those hooks and rights, but I see him throwing when he's out of range or throwing when he shouldn't be. um I thought it was mostly he was kind of a little anxious and whatnot, and I thought he might gas out early, but he is landing and throwing a lot more than Berchelt. Berchelt is a known late starter. He doesn't really start picking up the pace until later. So that round was Valdez. Round two, more of the same as the first, but Valdez was able to touch Berchelt a little bit more, even making him bleed at the end with the jab. So that round was again Valdez. Round three, I see Berchelt trying to press the action a little bit more, trying to get Valdez to exchange with him and start letting his shots go, as he lost the first two. Uh, I see Valdez winning this round by moving, avoiding, and landing punches, countering Berchelt. taking advantage of him being the smaller guy, him being faster than him. So that was another round for Valdez, 3-0, going to the fourth round. In round four, I see Berchelt showing signs of frustration, which I see him overstepping and lunging with his punches. Valdez is doing a good job of creating enough space to make Berchelt miss it for him to return punches. Around minute 115 is where Berchelt throws a jab, to which Valdez responds with a powerful left hook, which is the essential, or if not the critical punch for Valdez in this fight. You can see Berchelt's legs buckle and are unsteady. Valdez then, for the rest of the round, proceeds to land hooks and rights to the head of Berchelt. One of the things that surprised me is the fact that Berchelt never thought to hold. I think maybe because he was the bigger and stronger guy, he probably thought he was going to be able to weather the storm and come back. And that round was for Valdez. Big round for Valdez. Going into round five, I figured it was a good idea for Berchelt to take the round off, because if he doesn't, he might not be able to get back into the fight. You know, with him still being obviously hurt, I thought it was best for him to run around, avoid exchanges, tie up, in order to clear his head and get his legs back. He did the exact opposite. He is trying to push forward the action in exchange for Valdez, but it is apparent his legs are still not underneath him. He is still getting hit with clean shots by Valdez, which I give that round again to Valdez. Round six is an interesting round because it looked like Valdez is showing signs of fatigue. He is tying up Berchelt, and it makes you wonder, like, oh, wait a minute, maybe the dynamic is changing. Nope. You can tell Berchelt is still badly hurt and getting hit, but one thing I found funny is that whenever Valdez would tie him up, Berchelt would raise his arms and look at the ref, waiting for him to break it. But in my head, I was like, yo, dude, you're still hurt. Like, you should still take that time to recover. But Valdez output does lower, and Berchelt is still trying and waiting to exchange. He's pressing the action more. I figured it was still. I figured Berchelt should still try and wait to exchange, at least for the first half of the round. But this guy's an animal and is applying pressure, looking for that fight. Um, and because Valdez's output was lower, I gave it to Berchelt. In round seven, Berchelt is really trying to get things going, but he isn't being successful with his attack. His usual barrage of punches that we usually see from him is now only 2 or 3. And not only that, but they're very slow. Even then, he does. It also seems that he's able to now take all his punches a little bit better. Possibly because it's now the second half of the fight, or it seems as though Berchelt is really starting to kind of recover. The thing is, those are still powerful shots that Berchelt's getting hit clean with. To which Berchelt response is essentially just continuing to come forward and get hit. But I gave it to Berchelt, although it was a close round, but I gave it to Berchelt. Round 8, Valdez begins with the round with the big right hand, which he then follows up with another right hand. And it kind of makes you wonder if Berchelt is really going to change the momentum of this fight, because he keeps getting hit with big clean shots. Also, in that round, there seems to be like a lot of like a sudden boost of energy in Valdez. Like he gets a second wind almost. Also, one thing I noticed that at the end of the round and right before the ninth, the camera is centered on Berchelt's face while he sits in the corner, and you can kind of tell that he's not all there. Like he's still. It's almost as if like he's going through the motions. But that was a Valdez round. Similar to the eighth round, Valdez starts out strong, but this time landing a left hook to the face of Berchelt, moving around, creating that distance that he likes, and letting that left hook go. In this round, it's apparent that Valdez has gone on a second win, while Berchelt looks to be more or less the same. This is also the round where Valdez landed a combination using that right uppercut, knocking down Berchelt for the second time of the fight. And this was another round for Valdez. In between the 9th and 10th, Berchelt is down on all scorecards. You can maybe give him like one or two, but not only that, but he's been knocked down twice. He's badly hurt and continues to receive punishment. In between the rounds, you can hear his corner wanting to stop the fight, but I believe it's Berchelt saying he doesn't want him to. So they tell him one more round. Which I understand sometimes it's hard to make the right decision in the heat of battle. But from someone looking from the outside, it was very apparent that the right decision was to stop it right there. At this point, it definitely wasn't a fight no more. It was more of a beating. Berchelt had no chance of being able to come back into the fight. But I also understand the corner's dilemma. If they stop it when the fighter wants to continue, they might receive backlash from not only the fans, but from their fighter as well. So we go into the 10th round, and it's more or less the same as we saw in the previous rounds. Valdez moving around, landing at will, landing those hooks and making Berchelt's legs buckle. His legs still look very unstable. But there's one funny thing about this round. Valdez slipping in the corner after throwing that right hook. It's possible because of the water, but what comes next is Valdez landing a single left hook to the face of Berchelt, which results in him shutting down completely. Some key points to take away from this fight is that Valdez's focusedness, his laser focusedness, every round he gave it his 100%, was never lost sight of the goal, never deviated from the plan. Even in the 6th round where he seemed fatigued, he was game essentially every round, every moment of the fight. He did a good job of creating that distance where he was able to throw and making Berchelt miss. Berchelt anything away from Valdez, but I did see that one of Berchelt's downfall in this fight was him being the bigger guy. Usually him being the bigger guy in his previous fights have helped him, but I believe in this one it was a so-called double-edged sword where he believed that, not to take anything from Valdez, but one of Berchelt's downfall was that him being the bigger guy. In previous fights, it helped him being the bigger guy, but I believe it didn't in this fight. I believe he thought that Valdez couldn't hurt him, which in the end, it was his downfall, thinking that he was going to be able to recover and turn the momentum of the fight. But in any case, all credit to Valdez and his team for coming up with a great game plan and being able to execute it in this fight. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and a comment down below. Let me know if any suggestions for future videos you would like to see from me. But with that, until next time.